Well, I think everyone begins an internship kind of hoping that they'll figure out that they either really love what they've been doing or they'll have to make a change. And for me, it began as a jumble and I was determined to see it to the end.
Okay, these are the boxes. Quotes you take 10.
All right.
We had an entire room filled with the storage boxes, but just a very basic inventory. All of these ancient objects are from an archaeological excavation done in the 1960s at Tel Balatah. It's the biblical city of Shechem, which is in the West Bank. Harvard and the Semitic Museum was really very excited to accept all of these objects, the pottery, tools, documents from the original sponsoring institutions, because the excavations director, G. Ernest Wright, was also once the director of the museum. It was a natural fit. We began by opening the boxes to check the basic inventories. I then had some interns and volunteers create a new detailed inventory with museum accession numbers, but I didn't yet have any visual inventory. This was the project that Lily started with, is opening these boxes, trying to do the inventory, and photographing all of these objects so we knew what we had as part of our collection. And that's when she came upon these bags of the ivory inlays. You asked, what do I do with these?
How do I photograph them?
How do I photograph these? I think originally I said, well, try to put together the biggest pieces we can and we'll get the shot, just a representative shot of what these look like. And then she
kind of took off.
Took off. She was very good at puzzles, and turns out that these hundreds of fragments form several coherent decorative pieces.
Once I started making connections, they became easier to find, and I discovered all of these patterns and shapes that weren't there.
Where the designs were quite similar, if you turn over the inlay, you could see the actual bone pattern on the back, and that was much more distinctive.
I had to do that. These were ones I especially had to turn over and match the patterns on the back of the bone to really confirm that it was a join because it is so very small. We found several different patterns, but they all seemed to follow the same general shape, which was they were straight on one end and diagonal on the other end.
You can see how the angles would have gone together like the corners of a picture frame. You can imagine how these would have formed. The corner of what we determined to be an ivory inlaid box. A small selection from these inlays were published, but the description of them was very basic, and they were not complete. You couldn't see the full form. The work that Lily did was turning these fragments into complete or almost complete pieces from which we can reconstruct the entire object. From the archaeological point of view, her work has been important because it will help with the publication and knowledge of the site. And from our museum point of view, it's been incredibly important because it provides us with a piece that is worthy of exhibit.
Everything I knew had come from books, had come from classes. So when I came here, I was hoping that I would enjoy what I was doing. I love collections. I love being able to be one-on-one with the objects. It allows me to still be interested in history and also utilize my museum studies knowledge in the practices of museums, how everything runs together in a really kind of unique way, I think.